What's going on, guys? Welcome to Mike's 2023 Games Tier List, baby. So 2023 was one of the best years in gaming history as it released so many great games. I don't remember the last time a year released that many great games, but at the same time, it also released some very disappointing games as well. So with that in mind, let's jump straight into the tier list. So starting on the bottom of the tier, we have way overrated games in Resident Evil 4 and Metroid Prime. Both of these games, when they first came out, they were considered one of the greatest games of all time. So I was really excited when they said they were going to remaster these games. But once I got to play them, all I got was pretty much a disappointment. Resident Evil 4 felt okay, but it didn't feel great. The graphics were okay, it didn't feel great. And the gameplay felt bad. I think all both of these games they focus way too much on trying to improve the graphics, which they didn't really do a good job of either. But as for Metroid Prime, the mapping system was really bad to a point where I couldn't find where I'm supposed to be going. Half the time I was running around in circles for hours without really finding where I was supposed to go, and I basically quit the game because I couldn't fight through it. It was that bad. So I'm not saying these games were overrated back then, but for some reason the reviewers are reviewing these games at 9 plus for the remaster version of it, which made no sense to me. These games for today's standards are pretty bad in my opinion. Maybe they're seeing something I don't see, but that's where I'm at. They seem way overrated to me for sure. Next we have is Bethesda Dead. Oh man, I really wanted this game to be good, Starfield. So when I first played the Bethesda game, which was Elder Scrolls Oblivion, that was one of the first video games I played in general, and one of the reasons why I fell in love playing video games in the first place. So Bethesda since then released Fallout 3 and then Skyrim. So at that point, I expected Bethesda to be one of those companies whenever they release a game, it's like, "Oh man, Bethesda, I can't wait to play that game, man. It's going to be so good." It was that company up to Skyrim, I guess, but ever since then, it's been going downhill, releasing a bunch of mediocre games that wasn't really worth playing in my opinion. But Starfield just felt different to until the moment of release, I guess. Um they were promoting it as if this was the next thing that Bethesda's magic is back. This is oof, man. I was so hyped up for this game. And then I got to the game and wow, this game was bad. So all you do, like most for the most part, the story is okay. It's not the greatest story either, but as for the gameplay, it just felt like I was doing all kinds of chores for no reason. I'm not saying chores in general are bad for gaming, but if you're doing chores in the game, you better damn sure make sure the gamers are feeling worth it after the chores are done. But for Starfield, those chores just felt like you just do it just to beat the game, but it didn't really feel that rewarding at all. All you do is just do chores, run around unlocking temples, grab power. None of that felt really good. You know, like in Skyrim, you get to kill dragons and you get items. In Oblivion, you close Oblivion gates. That felt rewarding every time, but Starfield didn't have any of that. Exploration is basically non-existent. You just like walk around the star and do nothing. Enough of this game though. This game is bad. It doesn't deserve any more attention, so let's move on. Assassin's Creed Mirage. So this game is very average as the tier says. There's not much to talk about it. Assassin's Creed has been another franchise that's basically been going through what Bethesda as a company has been going through. It released a couple of really good games, and then it started going downhill to a point where every game has been basically mediocre up to this point. I guess this game is mediocre too, but I've heard that up to this game, Assassin's Creed was way too RPG focused, and they strayed away from what was the core of the franchise, which is stealth and action. And they said they were gonna focus more on that gameplay again, and at least that felt like they did that. I can't really tell for sure as I haven't really played any of the games in between the first and this one, but it didn't really have that much RPG action. It was just mainly stealth, but then it wasn't really great either. Not bad, not great, just average. Everything about this game was very average. There's not much to go on about it. If you played all the good games that are above this and like you have nothing else to play, I would suggest playing this game, but other than that, I would probably play some other games that are better than this one, as there were so many games just from last year that were worth playing for sure. Alright, next we have Hidden Gems in Hi-Fi Rush and Pikmin 4. So both of these games, I feel like they weren't talked about nearly enough for how great they were. So Hi-Fi Rush is a musical action game that has all kinds of great music that's playing in the background. And while you're fighting all kinds of mobs around it, if you press the buttons in the rhythm of the music that's playing in the background, you do more damage, you score more points, and if you press the button perfectly to the beat, it just feels very rewarding for sure. And it's a fun way to play the game. You're always in the rhythm, and then while the story wasn't that great, it's not really a story focused game. It's the gameplay was amazing for sure. And same with Pikmin. Pikmin Pikmins are some aliens that basically do work for you, and each Pikmin has different types of strength and weaknesses that can carry more stuff, fight mobs, and basically do everything for you. All you do is your job in this game is to work more efficient, work these Pikmin as efficiently as possible. They're basically your slaves, and you're a slave owner, you're Pikmin owner, I guess, and you work them as efficiently as possible to escape the planet that you're trapped in, and you leave those Pikmins behind afterwards too, which is which is kind of weird, but that's basically the game. But it was amazing. Both of these games were amazing, but I'm guessing they weren't talked about nearly enough because there were too many good games that came out last year for sure. And on that note, let's go on to the next one, which is the Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. This was a great expansion for sure. I think this should be the standard for any expansion that comes out for pretty much any type of game there is. Cyberpunk 2020 or Cyberpunk 2077, the original, was one of those games that had multiple great endings, and the expansion basically adds more alternate endings to the original game. And not only that, it improved on a lot of different things that were not that good about the original game, like talent system, combat. Everything just felt smoothed out. It improved on the original gameplay and added 10 to 20 hours of extra story. And I was really surprised when I saw Idris Elba. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who played this game knew he was coming out. Well, I didn't. That was a very pleasant surprise, and just like in the movies, he was very good. Speaking of movies, in the next tier, we have three games that are all based on movies. So all three of these games are based on some of the most successful movie franchises in the world right now, and all of them live up to those franchises. I'm not saying they're as good as the movie itself, but it definitely makes you feel like you're immersed in the franchise itself. So for Hogwarts Legacy, it feels like you're actually going to Hogwarts, taking classes, learning new magic spells, meeting new friends in whichever class you might be in, whether Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, whichever one, you're meeting new friends from different classes, and you get to fly around the broom, around the Hogwarts, which was amazing. The only bad part about this game was that I didn't get to experience Quidditch, which would have been the ultimate Harry Potter experience. But nonetheless, it was very good for sure. For Spider-Man, it feels like you're Spider-Man. It feels like you have total control over the character itself, especially during combat, shooting webs, dodging bullets, fighting all kinds of different bad guys. In the meanwhile, you also get to web around New York City, which felt like all you can ask for in a Spider-Man experience. Same with Star Wars Jedi. So not just the lightsaber action, which was amazing in and of itself, you also get to experience the ultimate Jedi experience by going through the psychological battle that almost all Jedi seems to go through, whether in games or movies, which is fighting the dark side. Cal, the main character of this game, constantly has to fight the dark side, and sometimes he can't fight it, and his friend has to help out, and that is basically the theme of the game. So all three of these games make you feel like you're immersed in that franchise, which was amazing for sure. And these games definitely are one of the best games based on movies ever. And then there's Alan Wake 2. This game is definitely the scariest game I've ever played. And I played a fair share of scary games like Outlast, Fear, Bioshock, Last of Us to a certain extent. But none of them come even close to this one for sure. The game was so scary to a point where every time I wake up to play, I was very hesitant to play, and I needed to suck it up every time I tried to play the game because it was way too scary. I was basically on edge of the seat literally the whole time. And the story itself was amazing too. So without spoiling much, you basically start with two different point of views, one of them being FBI agent, the other being Alan Wake himself. And the way it connects everything together is really nice and confusing at the same time in a good way. The closest thing to the Alan Wake experience I can compare it to is probably Inception, where you're confused what's going on, and then it's like, oh, I'm starting to figure out what's going on, and then you get scared, and then you are confused again. You get scared, and then you get confused again, and then at the end you end confused, basically. Near the top of the tier list, we have Baldur's Gate 3. So this game is truly a class of its own. So watching shows like Stranger Things kind of got me jealous that I didn't get to play Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid, and I really want to play it even now as I've never played it before. But I'm guessing this game is as close as it gets to that. All the things that Dungeons and Dragons usually has, deep storyline with deep character bonding, it has all of that for sure. You get to build bond with each character, and you feel emotional towards each of them too. And each character has their own goals and ambition, and it feels nice once you get to help out fulfill those ambitions, as you do get to help out most of them too. As for the choices you make in the game along the storyline, they really feel like it matters. It's not your typical video games where sometimes it has multiple endings. It's like, oh, damn, I don't know what to choose. I'm just gonna choose this, and I'm gonna watch YouTube later, and I get to experience all of it like that. Baldur's Gate is definitely not one of those games, as there are too many choices to make, and each choice does matter and changes the outcome of the game. So it really makes you think and consider the choices before you move on. Unlike most other games that have choices, as most players, I'm pretty sure they just choose whatever they feel like, as it doesn't really matter that much, as you can just go to YouTube and see the outcomes, see the other outcomes. But this game, it definitely matters, and it feels like it matters. That was amazing for sure. As for exploration, there's so many different parts of the world where you can travel to. and meet all kinds of different people. There's so many different NPCs that you can all interact with, each with their own voice actor, which was amazing. I don't even know how they did that. I've never seen a game that has that type of voice acting interactive NPCs. It seems like every NPC in the game was interactive and they have their own unique personalities. So the game itself is basically a mini world. But for me, the game of the year was Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I just had more fun with this game than Baldur's Gate 3. Both of them are amazing, and I know more people like Baldur's Gate more than the Zelda, but personally I just enjoyed the Zelda more. So this game basically has all the good things Zelda game usually offers that you can expect, like good puzzles and great exploration. But what really put this game over the top was the Ultra Hand aspect of the game. You get to you get to use all kinds of materials, trees, wheels, metals, all kinds of different things you can combine, and you can make so many different things like car, you can make a tank, you can make an airplane, just anything that you can think of in an engineering world, you can basically make in this game. And the engineering feels accurate. I'm pretty sure it's not, but it feels accurate in a way that sometimes it just doesn't work. Whatever you build, and it feels nice once you build something big and you see that it actually works. For me personally, when I built an airplane that can fly all over the place, that felt amazing until the airplane broke itself. I don't know how that happened, but that was amazing for sure. As for the story itself, I think the storyline was the best Zelda game has ever offered. I don't think Zelda game usually offers that deep storyline. It's usually just Link save Princess, find some type of Ganon darkness or whatever the Zelda bad guys are. But this game definitely felt different as it had some storyline that got me emotional. I almost cried when I saw one of the parts in the like towards the end. I definitely almost cried. It was that good. On top of all that, all the boss fights were really fun too, and they had their own unique ways to beat them. And sometimes you can even use the Ultra Hand creation to beat them even faster and more creatively. That was so much fun. There were so many different ways to go about this game, and it's just amazing. So that's why I put this game over Baldur's Gate as game of the year. Well, that's it for my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed going through that tier list with me here. And let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my tier list and what your favorite game of the 2023 was. Thank you guys so much for watching this tier list. And I'm trying to do more contents like this and possibly more contents that you guys might enjoy. So stay tuned.